Today, we're talking about stock options. Now, if you saw my video where I made $60,000 in less than a month, that was done all trading with stock options. If you've never traded them before and it sounds really confusing and you don't know where to start, I'm gonna try to break that down in this video. Options are a pretty complex instrument, so I'm gonna try to keep things as simple as possible, but just know that this will just be the tip of the options iceberg. You may remember from my previous video, when you buy a call option, you have the right to buy a stock at a set price at a set date. When you buy a put option, you have the right to sell that stock at a set price at a set date. So in trading options, there are a few key factors that make up the contract. First, you have the underlying asset. What stock or fund is the options contract for? Now, it could be a single stock like Apple, or it could be an exchange traded fund known as an ETF like SPY, which tracks the S&P 500. This is often referred to as the underlying. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'll just refer to it as the stock. Now, each contract by its nature has an expiration date. Here in the US, the standard expiration dates are the third Friday of every month. You also have non-standard expiration dates like every Friday, and those are known as weeklies. So you have the stock, then you have the date the contract expires. Next, you have the strike price. The strike price is basically where you think that stock's price will be when the contract expires. So let's say you think the Tesla stock is gonna hit $2,000 by the third Friday in September. Well, you could buy an options contract for it, and in that case, the strike price would be $2,000. Okay, next we have the premium. If you're buying options, the cost of the options contract is the premium. Think about it like this. In order to buy something, you need someone on the other side of the deal selling it to you. Now, they're the ones who are collecting that premium that you pay. The seller is taking on some risk because if your options do expire in the money, meaning you make money on the deal when it expires, the seller's gonna lose money. So the premium is one of the incentives for them selling you the contract. The price of options contracts varies based on a variety of factors. The stock itself, how long until it expires, where the strike price is relative to the stock price, volatility, all these things play a role in determining the premium that you pay. Now, when you go to buy a premium, the price you see is just for one share. And remember that an options contract is for 100 shares. So you have to take that amount and multiply it by 100 to know how much that contract is gonna cost you. Okay, let's take a look at options for Apple, for example. Real quick, don't let this screen scare you. While it's not as pretty to look at as Robinhood, once you know where to look, it's really not as daunting as it seems. I currently have all the available options for the 18th of September open. In the middle is the strike price, with the price getting higher as you go down. You also have the date the contract expires just to the left. The right half of the screen are puts. The left half are calls. Let's just look at the left side of the screen real quick. I have two columns here, the bid and the ask. The ask is what price the sellers are asking for, and the bid is what price the buyers want it for. The difference between these two is called the bid-ask spread. When buying contracts, you don't want a large bid-ask spread, meaning you want the bid and the ask to be pretty close to one another in price. Now we have other columns which I'll cover later, but let's move on to the example. First, let's pick the date the contract will expire. The further out we go, the more time Apple has to change in value. Let's look at September 18th. The current share price is $438.66. So if we think that it's gonna raise in value, let's say to $450, we could buy a call option. This $450 mark is the strike price. For this option, we'll have to pay the premium, which right now it's $16.35. But remember, each contract is actually for 100 shares. So in order to find out how much you pay for this option, you need to multiply $16.35 by 100. In this particular instance, if Apple stock doesn't hit $450 by September 18th, my contract will expire worthless because a call option gives you the right to buy shares at your strike price. So if Apple is only at $440, a contract allowing me to buy shares at $450 is worthless. But if Apple's stock price is at $460 per share by September 18th, I'm theoretically in luck. This means I'd make $10 per share by exercising my contract. But now remember that we had to pay $16.35 for the premium, so we have to add the amount to the strike price to figure out what our break even is. In this case, the break-even share price of the stock would be $466.35. If the stock price is anything higher than that, we make money. Okay, hopefully that all made sense. Now let's move on to puts. Now, the opposite of a call option is a put option. If we think Apple's stock price is going to go down in value, we can buy a put option. This gives us the right to sell shares at a specific price at a set date. Here, we can see we can get a put for September 18th with the strike price of $425. If the stock price is below $425 by September 18th, we can exercise our contract, allowing us to sell 100 Apple shares at $425. If the stock is trading at $420, we'd make $5 per share. But once again, we have to factor in the premium that we paid for the contract. It costs $15.45, so the break-even share price is actually $409.55. If Apple is higher than $409.55, we will lose money. Anything below $409.55 and we make money. I'm hoping that all made a little bit of sense. Now, the most common practice when trading options is to sell that contract before the expiration date. Option prices fluctuate throughout the day. So let's say you bought Apple in the morning and then the stock price went up a couple bucks. Well, your option is now in the green and you can sell it if you'd like. The key when trading options is to have a plan in place before you enter a trade. At what point do you sell? Do you wait until you hit 20% profit, 50% profit? Or at what point do you cut your losses? When you're down 20%, when you're down 50%, you have to have a plan in place so you minimize risk. Now, me personally, I like to buy more than one contract at once. So that way, when I hit maybe 20, 30% green, I could sell off a couple of the contracts and keep a few in case the trade keeps going my way. Now, your plan will depend on your own investment strategy and your risk tolerance, but please make sure you do have a strategy before going into a trade. You don't want to go onto Wall Street Bets asking if you should exit a trade. You should already have that plan in place. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, but it's super important to understand how options pricing really works. We've already discussed some things that affect the price, such as the expiration date and the strike price, but there is a whole category of factors called the Greeks that also affect options pricing. First, we have delta. Let's say Apple goes up $1. Well, how does that affect your options contract? This is what delta will tell you. Delta is usually a value between -1 and 1, indicating how sensitive that option is to price movement of the stock. A delta of 1 indicates that the option will pretty much move dollar for dollar with the underlying stock. If Apple goes up $1, your options will go up $1. Calls have a positive delta value and puts have a negative delta value. For instance, this Apple put has a delta of -0.48. If Apple stock increases by $1, your option loses 48 cents. But remember, once again, option contracts are for 100 shares, so that 48 cents turns into a loss of $48. Likewise, this call option has a delta of 0.46, so when Apple increases by $1, the option increases by $46. Gamma tells you how much the delta will change when the stock increases by $1. Back to our Apple example, since we have a gamma of 0.02, when Apple increases by $1, the delta would go from 0.46 to 0.48. Theta measures the option's time decay. Basically, the closer you get to expiration, the less the options contract will be worth. It basically tells you how it will lose value the closer you get to the expiration date of the contract. Let's say you're betting that Apple's stock price will go up by $10 within the next 2 months. Now, that seems pretty reasonable. It could definitely happen. Now, if you're betting that Apple's stock price will go up by $10 by tomorrow, that's a whole lot less likely to happen. I'm guessing you'd rather own the options contract that expires in 2 months as opposed to tomorrow. This is why you'll pay more to have more time on a contract. It's more likely to hit your strike price and be worth more money. All of that to say, as you get closer to the expiration date, it will lose value at a higher rate. That rate is determined by theta. Theta is always displayed as a negative value for both calls and puts, since it affects both of them negatively. So back to our Apple example, this call option has a theta of -0.49. If everything remains the same, this options contract will be worth $49 less tomorrow. Same with this put option. The last Greek I'm going to cover is Vega. Think Vega and volatility, because Vega measures how a stock's volatility affects the options price. If you consider a stock like Tesla, it's capable of making pretty dramatic movements on a regular basis, at least right now. When the volatility of a stock is higher, the options for that stock tend to be more expensive. Back to our Apple example, we have a Vega of 0.21. If Apple's stock volatility increases by 1%, the option will increase in price by $21. Okay, I hope that wasn't too confusing or dense. Options are a really complex instrument, and I really tried my best to simplify it. I didn't discuss writing options, strategies, IV crush, leaps, none of that. So there's way more we could get into. Options can be really fun to trade, but it can also be really frustrating. So I recommend paper trading first, so not using real money and seeing how your trades pan out. Sign up for a paper trading account on something like thinkorswim so you can really get the grasp on it before you use real money. I'll link some helpful resources in the description below. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.